catch her out in previous lies. Jennifer is still a witness at this moment, and the exchange is void of any direct confrontation, yet she is still put under a modest amount of pressure, and the holes in her story start to become ever more apparent.
Take that first interview that we had, which was, hours after what had transpired, put it aside. It's almost like we've never spoken before, okay? Take that first interview that we had, which was, hours after what had transpired, put it aside. It's almost like we've never spoken before, okay? So we're starting afresh. We're starting from new. That way you're not going to say, I think I already told him that. Don't worry about what you've already told me.
Do you, Jennifer Penn, swear or declare that the evidence that you give in this investigation shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
We're going to see if we've learned or if you've remembered anything else, and there's some questions with respect to that statement that I'm going to ask you about, okay? But I'm going to let you start again, and let's move forward from any time in that day where you want to start. If it's the time you woke up or if it's the time that your first interaction, it's your choice.
Okay, I'm very nervous, and
Why are you nervous? Tell me about why you're nervous. Ask you about, okay? But I'm going to let you start again, and let's
mic
let's
on,
move forward
mic
from
feedback
any time
on.
in that day where you want to start. If it's the time you woke up or if it's the time that your first interaction, it's your choice.
Okay, I'm very nervous, and
why are you nervous? Tell me about why you're nervous.
because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Because
that day was a lot.
You're right.
And I've been scattered, and some bits and pieces are here, and some pieces aren't here, and I'm just...
So, I want you to sit back in your chair, okay? Just sit back in your chair, take a deep breath, okay? Close your eyes, just follow my line, just sit back in the chair for a second, sit back, relax, as the best you can, close your eyes, and just breathe for a minute, okay?
Alright, bet. Biggity, 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 bet. Biggity, bet. Biggity, bet. Biggity, 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 bet.
The most curious detail you've probably come to notice is this. It's known as a self-pacifying gesture. A person who does this is most often uncomfortable and sometimes fearful of what lies ahead. It's a coping mechanism to dissipate stress and afford self-assurance.
What I can remember is when I woke up, had some breakfast.
She practices on the piano, studies piano history, plays games on her phone, and speaks with her friends on Facebook during the morning hours. Her mom leaves to visit her grandfather at around noon and returns at 3 p.m. to prepare dinner. Her father comes home at around 4:30 from work, and dinner is served 1 hour later. Her mother leaves for line dancing at 7, then returns at 9:30. Jennifer at this point is in bed talking with her friend on the phone, and her father is in the computer room. She then hears her mother loudly call out to her father.
What is she saying?
She's calling him by his name and to come down.
Okay, so give us verbatim, what do you hear her saying?
In Vietnamese, she's like, Hanoi, xuống đây.
She's clearly aware that she has to appear mournful over the subject matter, and sensibly draws out this emotion at the correct moments. Yet what's fascinating is how she's unable to maintain this emotion when inquired over the same elements. In this very moment, she appears completely grief-stricken, but when the investigator inquires further, this supposed grief rapidly dissipates. It's extremely difficult to convincingly act out an emotion while evaluating a question. It requires two completely different parts of the brain, which is why most people can only do one of these things at a time. This is exactly what you see in the next moment, and continuously throughout this interview, but wired moments to appear.
Okay, so give us verbatim, what do you hear her saying?
In Vietnamese, she's like, Hanoi, xuống đây.
She's clearly aware that she has to appear mournful over the subject matter, and sensibly draws out this emotion at the correct moments. Yet what's fascinating is how she's unable to maintain this emotion when inquired over the same elements. In this very moment, she appears completely grief-stricken, but when the investigator inquires further, this supposed grief rapidly dissipates. It's extremely difficult to convincingly act out an emotion while evaluating a question. It requires two completely different parts of the brain, which is why most people can only do one of these things at a time. This is exactly what you see in the next moment, and continuously throughout this interview.
What does that translate to?
That's my father's name, Han. Come down here.
Does she say anything else associated with that? With that?
I can't hear clearly because like I was on the phone and the TV was on,
Sure.
but that's what I heard.
Is she yelling, or is it
It's a
normal?
loud. She's not yelling, but it's a loud tone.
Okay.
She then hangs up the phone with her friend once she hears the commotion.
As I'm hanging up the phone with him, I hear footsteps going up the stairs,
Okay.
but they're not. They're heavier footsteps than what is to be expected from my
23:30.
parents.
Okay.
23:30. If I just do this, if I go like a boom, a boom,
What makes the case sensibly draws out this emotion.
Alright. Sweet, sweet, sweet.
At the correct moments. Yet what's fascinating is how she's unable to maintain this emotion when inquired over the same elements. In this very moment, she appears completely grief-stricken, but when the investigator inquires convincingly of the brain moment,
My father's
With that.
TV was on.
That
It's a
normal?
loud.
and once she hears the commotion,
As I'm hanging up the they're heavier footsteps than what is to be expected from my parents.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. He's got the atom, and that makes him a governor. Should probably not. Should probably turn my VPN off too. Should fix. Should fix. It should fix. Oh, it did fix. It should fix. Easy, bro.
Jennifer hears unfamiliar voices, so she opens her door to investigate. She has spoken for 2 minutes up to this point without being interrupted, and once again manages to build up her emotion to correlate with a supposedly terrifying event. Yet as soon as the detective interjects with a question, we once again see this emotion dissipate.
I peered out and there was a person in what would have been my brother's room.
And where's your brother's room located?
Just a little bit down the, like I could see from my door to his doorway, just
Okay.
a little bit down the hall.
Okay.
The first intruder then robs Jennifer at gunpoint before taking her to the ground floor, where she then sees her parents sitting next to each other.
From where I was standing, my father was sitting on the right and my mother was sitting on the left.
Sitting where?
On a couch. On our couch.
Sitting on the couch. Are they looking out towards you?
No, their backs are towards me.
Okay. And you're now on the ground level? Are you on the floor? Or on the
I'm
sitting on the
on the
stairs?
floor. I'm sitting on the floor.
All right, where are your hands?
They had tied my hands,
So let's
as
go
I said.
let's go back up to the stairs. Remember we said
Her emotional display in seeing her parents in distress gradually faded after each interjection, but you'll now see it completely cease altogether once she realizes that she made her first mistake. Everything she had said up to this point correlated with her initial statement, but she had just forgot to mention that she was first tied up before being taken downstairs, and only brought it up when reminded by the detective.
take the other statement and whatever we've said before.
No, I said it earlier.
She didn't say she was tied up earlier. She completely forgot to mention it and seems to be trying to convince
Yeah,
the detective otherwise.
dumb
It's a moment of
bitch.
slight panic, which becomes far more pronounced when you compare it to her supposed grief-stricken recollection 5 seconds earlier. The detective doesn't challenge this, as it can be used against her at a much later stage, and the main objective at this point is to collect as much conflicting information as possible.
Okay, then we must let's get back to that area. I think you might have touched on it. We went back into the description. So where do you get your hands tied, and where does the string come from?
I'm not sure where the string comes from, but he had the string.
Okay.
And after I gave him my money, that's when he tied my hands.
She is then taken downstairs where she sees her mother being interrogated by the second assailant over the whereabouts of the cash. According to her first statement, the second assailant never said a word the entire time.
He had pushed her back onto the couch, and she
Who
kept...
pushed her?
Number 2.
Okay.
He was pushing her back onto the couch. And she kept saying, "Where's my purse? Where's my purse?" And the guy kept telling her to sit down, and I didn't want my mom to get hurt.
Fake as fuck, bitch. You a lying ass bitch.
How many times does she get up and get pushed back down?
I'd say she got up twice.
Has number 2 uttered a word at this point in time?
I can't remember hearing him.
Okay. So we're just correcting what you said earlier, because you said earlier that it was number 2 who was asking where the purse is, and now you've said now it's number 1 guy who would
I'm
initially...
sorry, it's just...
No. It's all a purpose. The purpose here is clarifying what you're saying. So number 1
I
is...
just don't want to...
Number 1 is the one who's doing the talking about the purse. Number 3 is focused on your dad's wallet. Okay.
Jennifer continues to make contradictions and is forced to correct herself multiple times after she notices the puzzled gaze from the detective. He inquires over the appearance of assailant number 2, who is wearing a hoodie according to the first statement.
You get a good look at number 2 now of what he's wearing?
All I could tell was he had a vest, and his face was like a long oval face.
He had a vest?
No, hoodie.
Okay.
Dark hoodie.
Okay. Did you see them recover anything inside your mom and dad's room?
I did not see anything, no.
Are you sure? Because
dumb bitch.
when we spoke the last time, there was some mention of some other money that went missing.
I believe when they were looking for my father's wallet, they had opened the drawer. And there was, it was in an envelope.
What drawer would that have been in?
On the, if you're at the doorway where I was standing on the left side, the bedside table.
Whose side of the bed is it?
Alright.
That's my mother's side of the bed.
Okay.
Okay, you know what? Oh, gosh, come on. I gotta...
More than likely a total coincidence, yet she almost appears to be praying that she gave the correct response. Fortunately for her, she was correct on this occasion.
And approximately how much money?
I'm not sure how much she took out for our trip, but I can only estimate about a few $100s.
Few hundred, because at the time, the last time you
Or
told me, you were pretty adamant about $1,100. So I'm curious to know how you came up with that number.
I believe because when we were at the border, we stopped at the duty free. My mother was deciding whether to use her U.S. currency or her U.S. currency or her Canadian currency.
So it was at that time you remember hearing $1,100, and that's what is that the inference you're saying? Is that because you're pretty solid saying that it was $1,100 that went missing, that was taken, and that you saw it when we spoke, and who took it? Who took possession of the money?
Fuck you, dude!
The detective lets the contradiction slide once more. Jennifer is then brought to the moment where the intruders have just left and she is tied to the upstairs banister.
Let's come back to the moment being taken.
Fuck you! Oh my gosh.
Apologize. Okay? I'm going to try and ask you questions.
Dude, why?
So there's no apologizing. The only reason you would apologize to me is if you've lied to me. Okay,
No,
so
I just
then in this case, then don't apologize to me. It's okay. Okay, I'm going to ask you questions to clarify points. You're now bound to the railing. Can you show me? Can you stand up and turn around and tell me? Just show on the camera.
I should have
how your
fucking
hands are.
kept my electricity, dude. Should have
and
cut
how
my
you are against the
electricity.
railing. You don't have to sit down. I just need to see how you work.
Just tell me.
The only reason that I'm trying to, I need to do this is that I'm also going to ask you is that so take this back to, take it out of a traumatizing event, which it is, and put yourself into a more clinical position, because I want to see how you could physically get your phone out of your waistband. We're obviously going to need to know that. It's very important. So traumatize away, now put yourself into just a state of, I need to mechanically show how I can get access to my phone. Okay, because that's obviously very relevant. We know you made
Very
a phone
relevant.
call,
Very relevant.
but questions are going to obviously raise is that if my hands are bound and I'm against the railing, how do I talk to a 911 operator? Okay, so clinically, this is now a clinical demonstration. Just stand up, focus in on how you did it. And I want you to stick that in your waistband as an example. Okay, so just take your sweat off, because this will be a very smooth, very quick thing. It's a one-time demonstration. I'm not going to ask you to repeat it.
The two critical parts of this demonstration are where Jennifer states she was tied, and the movement of her arms as she takes her phone out of her pocket. The investigator is hoping the mechanics of the two components would be illogical and contradict each other.
I tied my upper arm
Yes?
around the banister,
Yes?
but my hands were bound together.
So your hands bound together, and this is the arm that's the strings wrapped around against the banister?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now
Yeah,
how can
yeah,
you
yeah.
get to the phone? And how do you make the phone call?
Whether it be a stroke of luck or that Jennifer had prepared for this moment, this actually made sense. Had her arms gone left or the point of restraint been below the elbow, none of this would have been possible. It's perhaps the single moment where Jennifer's statement was somewhat beneficial to her defense. We know Jennifer was tied up when police arrived, but the assumption was that she had her phone in her hands the entire time and wouldn't have had to retrieve it from her waistband. She can now argue that this portion of her testimony is genuine.
911. And do you talk down like that?
Yes, I'm yelling at the phone like this.
And how can you hear?
I turned the volume on max.
Yes? So that's exactly the way that you're talking to her against the railing. Okay, that's good enough. Sit down.
Jennifer is then brought back to the moment just before she heard the gunshots.
At this point, I started hearing my
At this point, I started hearing my parents. Yeah. You heard some. Oh my freaking goodness, dude. Dude, I wish. Freak, man. Freaking freak. Will this work? Oh my gosh. Yay, it worked. Alright.
That's semen on everything.
Semen on everything. Nice. Nice, dude. You admit a burst of electricity would struck, damaging all around you. That's pretty cool, actually. Yay! Alright. Alright. Well. You ain't gonna do shit, bro. Bandages, eh? Alright. Says I am low on health, but wealthy. Oh yeah? That's subjective. Bam. Bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Sweet. Alright, thank goodness. Is this the same area? It is the same area. Wow. Alright. Nobody's in there then, so... I think that's for after. I think that's for after. I think this is, when we fight the doctor. Dr. Stein something. Okay. Yep, that is it. That is it. Yep, that.
Parents get up. Leaving. And my mom's yelling, "Where's my daughter? I want my daughter. Where's my daughter?" And I'm yelling, "Mom, I'm here."
Here, Jennifer, take a Kleenex. And just take a minute.
You'll notice that she doesn't wipe her eyes or blow her nose, just buries her face in the tissue, which the detective later testified remained completely dry.
Okay. So we're now down in the basement. They're down in the. You know your parents are down in the basement.
I heard pop. And then my mom. I heard her squeal.
Multiple pops occur thereafter before she hears the intruders leave through the front door.
Once the door closed, I heard my father. He ran up the stairs and all I could hear was moaning. Dad. Once I heard him starting to move, that's when I pulled out the phone and I was trying to call 911.
This is untrue. She only realized her father was alive midway through the 911 call. And in that exact moment, you can actually hear genuine fear in her voice compared to her fabricated panic the moment before.
Some people broke into our house and paid us all his money. Ma'am, where are you? What? Avenue Road. Yes. You spell the name for me, please? Dad?
The final part of this statement is collecting information to set up the main strategy for Jennifer's interrogation that will take place 10 days later. They go through Jennifer's past and gather intel to lay the foundation for what's known as the how and why solution, which will be explained in further detail at a later stage.
What I want to do now is I want to go into your past, okay? And start talking about things that have been going on with you.
The detective now morphs into a therapist, and what's fascinating is how Jennifer doesn't once question the new line of inquisition. Many argue that it was the first time Jennifer was even asked about such matters, giving reason for her willingness to open up. This may have been the first time in her life she was able to process her frustrations and vent to someone who appeared to care. The first topic is her parents, and the expectations and pressures she was under to succeed, which led to her faking her grades and then her college degree as to not be a disappointment.
How did you feel about that? How did you feel about having to lie to your parents?
I felt guilty, but every time I tried to bring it up, there was just so much expectation.
I'm pretty sure it's Swin.
Do you have any resentment towards them for this?
I'm not sure though.
I chose what I chose, but in the end I chose my family.
She just referred to the ultimatum she was given by her father, the choice to live at home and go back to school, or be completely cut off by her parents and live with her boyfriend. Information gathering on Jennifer's past goes on for roughly 2 hours and 20 minutes. The detective then ends the exchange by putting her under some pressure. It's not a direct confrontation, but it's by far the most uncomfortable position she's been in up to this point. The detective subtly switches back to the home invasion and how the intruders were able to gain access without breaking in.
Like you didn't hear a doorbell, you didn't hear a door knock, you didn't hear a door kicked in, you didn't.
I said I was watching
No,
TV on the phone.
but-
I don't know how.
Yeah, I know. We went over that back and forth. We don't know how. So somehow they got into your house by getting through your mom down on the lower level, right? Because she's the only one who's down. I know. We went over that, but a door kicked in. You didn't hear a door knock.
Gain access without subtly switch. Far the most uncomfortable putting her on for her parents and her father. The choice to live at home and go back to school, or be completely cut off by her parents and live with her boyfriend. Information gathering on Jennifer's past goes on for roughly 2 hours and 20 minutes. The detective then ends the exchange by putting her under some pressure. It's not a direct confrontation, but it's by far the most uncomfortable position she's been in up to this point. The detective subtly switches back to the home invasion and how the intruders were able to gain access without breaking in.
Like you didn't hear a doorbell, you didn't hear a door knock, you didn't hear a door kicked in, you didn't.
I said I was watching
No,
TV on the phone.
but-
I don't know how.
Yeah, I know. We went over that back and forth. We don't know how. So somehow they got into your house by getting through your mom down on the lower level, right? Because she's the only one who's down there.
She's the only one.
So it's very confusing. Generally, random events are not, in most cases, random. There's a rhyme or reason why they've come to your house. But from what you've told me inside the house, the only thing that you hear them saying to you is they're looking for money. They're not looking for a specific quantity of money.
No.
So you're telling me that you had no involvement in what happened, meaning not saying how the outcome came, but you had no involvement in any type of illegal activity that would have drawn you or the attention of you to have bad people come to your house looking for large sums of money. You're not involved in this any which way. Because the question obviously stands, Jennifer, is you're upstairs and they're downstairs, right? So it's they're downstairs, right? You're upstairs and they're downstairs, right? So it's a natural concern when, why would they leave you alone? Why would they not do the same to you?
Yeah, and where's the string?
You can't answer that question?
The only thing I can say is he said I cooperated.
The,
But I asked him to take me.
the number
with
one
my
guy?
mom.
The number one guy said you cooperated. Okay. Who's to say this whole thing isn't a lie? That what you're telling me is a lie? Because if you are lying, it's the most cold-blooded thing that I have ever faced in my life. There is nothing that you've said to me today is a lie. Now, back to another very difficult question. But if I don't ask it, I'm going to be, it's an obvious one. The resentment that you may have had towards your parents for the interference in your relationship and your life and essentially locking you down in your house.
At the end of the day, I love my parents and I chose to be with them. And if I wanted to, I could have just left, but I didn't. I wanted to stay with them and take care of them.
So this wasn't some evil plot that you thought up to.
Oh my God, no.
No interaction, no belief, no, you didn't have anything to do with this thing at all whatsoever. You don't engage in illegal activity?
No.
Because you know that it'll be very easily, it will be a very easy thing to discredit you on, right? We're in the process of trying to add credibility to what you tell us, and that's through the process of asking people and doing whatever. through that same process, it will be very easy to find the flaws in what you've said, which again then turns the focus back to you. Okay?
I don't.
It's a natural progress. It's a natural thing that investigators do. We eliminate people, or we draw our attention to them. It's a natural thing. It's not brain surgery. Okay?
The detective leaves the room for 20 minutes to allow Jennifer to stew in her own thoughts before they end the statement. He comes back to add one last bit of psychological pressure that he carefully disguises as reassurance. Jennifer will leave terrified, but still believe the police are on her side.
Okay, we're done, essentially. How are you feeling?
Sorry, you really scared me.
Did I? What did I scare you about? Sit down and take a load off. Tell me how you're feeling. And how I scared you. I don't want you walking away from here thinking I'm evil. I want you to walking around from here thinking that this guy is helping investigate my mom's murder, and he's going to turn over every stone possible to make sure that we catch the people who do that. That's what I want you feeling. So I don't want you walking away from here thinking that I scared you, or I'm sometimes we have to ask very, very difficult questions, but it's my job. Okay? You're our only link. You're it. Until your dad regains his back and being able to be spoken to, right now you're our only link to this case.
Her father had bullet fragments lodged in his face that doctors couldn't remove, and a shattered neck bone. At the time of this interview, the consensus was that if he did regain consciousness, he would be useless as a witness due to irreversible brain damage.
So we may rely on you heavily until we can speak to your father. Okay? So don't be afraid. If you've told the truth, the last thing you should be afraid of is anything. If you've told the truth and you've been truthful through this whole process, then you're helping. You're doing your part. Okay? And don't be afraid of me.
I'm just afraid because, you know,
Yeah.
like, I know everything is just all pointing negatively right now, and I don't understand why. I feel that, like, the way you're speaking to me, it's kind of like, I know you said that you had to say those things, but it's here, and I've already said it to the special victims yesterday, but there's, like, ideas in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid to say it out loud. But
Ideas about speculation of what happened, of how it happened. Unfortunately, at times some of us have to point the finger, or seem like we're pointing the finger, and it really is just to provoke you to see what you're going to do, how you're going to respond. Okay? So it's only a question, and it's been answered. And if you've been truthful, okay, you have nothing to fear. Absolutely nothing. Okay?
Police kept Jennifer under close observation from this point forward. A surveillance detail was assigned to track her every movement, and she was even monitored at her mother's funeral 3 days later. According to reports, she was emotionless the majority of the time, only showing what appeared to be feigned grief at certain moments. She never shed a single tear, and kept her eyes to the floor or completely shut for the entirety of the service. Jennifer's father had in fact awoken from his induced coma the day prior, and miraculously seemed to remember everything from the night of the incident. He would give an official statement in secret on November 16th, and multiple parts of his story contradicted what Jennifer had told police. The most significant detail was that she was never tied up, but instead walking around freely and talking with the intruders as if they were friends. He actually spoke with Jennifer over the phone, but was informed by investigators to act amnesic and not to confront her, only to ask her if she thought her ex-boyfriend was behind it. She stated that she was almost certain he wasn't. The only issue with Hahn's statement was that he had suffered minor brain damage from the gunshot, which could be used by a defense team to refute his testimony in court, or even get it thrown out altogether. Furthermore, it was essentially his word against Jennifer's, and their turbulent relationship would also work greatly in the defense's favor. York Regional Police knew they needed a confession for the best possible chance at securing a conviction, so they assigned their most experienced investigator to conduct Jennifer's interrogation. She was called back into the Markham Police Station on the 22nd of November at 2:30 p.m., a week and a half after the incident took place.
So just for the record, it is the 22nd of November 2010. We're at the 5 District Station in the town of Markham.
Alright, let's do this. Oh, you know what? I could probably...
What can I do with this one, Aphrodite? She won't stay still! I want to make them beautiful, but they always turn out wrong! That one's too fat! This one's too tall! This one's too symmetrical! And now... what's this goddess? An intruder! He's ugly! 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 Ugly!
Fuck you, man.
Not my patient!
Come on, boy. You ain't going nowhere, boy. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck.
My patient!
Oh, shit.
You alright? It was time somebody took care of that sick bastard. Make sure you get the key off Steinman and head back to emergency access. I'm working my way to the backside of Port Neptune myself.
Easy, bro. Easy. Emergency access. Hopefully I get a flick. Okay, alright. Alright.
Come here now! Stop wasting my time, you horrid monster!
Me? I'm the monster?
We have rules here!
Dude, fuck your rules, buddy. I would have thought there would be like a secret or something, but I guess not. Alright. No.
Is somebody there? Sam, are you there? The nurse doesn't like you, but I
The problem's
do.
not in your hair. It's in your genes. Hey, I don't go into all that splicing stuff. We're buddies.
Sounds like another tunnel collapse. Welcome to Rapture, the world's fastest growing pilot joke.
Whoa. What's over there? I kind of want to go over here. I want to go over there. I'm going over there. I'm gonna go over there.
It's a little one. Here's your chance to get some Adam.
It's an atom, huh? Oh shit.
Stay away from her, or it is you who will be shot next.
Easy now, Doctor. He's just looking for a wee bit of Adam. Just enough to get by.
I'll not have him hurt my little ones.
It's okay, lad. That's not a child. Not anymore, it ain't. Dr. Tenenbaum saw to that.
Bitte do not hurt her. Have you no heart?
Aye, that's a pretty sermon coming from the guru. Cooked up them creatures in the first place. Took fine little girls and turned them into that, did you? Listen to me, Boyle. You won't survive without the antidotes. Things are carrying. Are you prepared to trade your life, the lives of my wife and child, for Tenenbaum's little Frankenstein?
Here. There is another. Use this. Free them from their torment. I will make it to be worth your while. Somehow.
Should I be evil? Should I be evil? Kinda wanna be evil. Probably might be evil.
My computer right now says 2:39 in the afternoon. Okay. Just for the record, my name is Detective William Gates. You can just call me Bill here today. And what do you like to be called?
Jen.
Jen? Yep. What do you prefer, Jen or Jennifer?
Jen.
Either or? Okay, so Jen, you're aware that the audio tape and everything's on. It's the same as last time. Okay, you've been here on 2 other occasions, I understand, on the 9th of November, and I believe again on the 11th of November. Is that correct? Okay. And do you know why we're here today? Yeah, regarding what? And as a result of that home invasion, your father and Van was actually shot, and your mother, Van, was actually killed. Is that correct? Yeah, you'll have to speak up a little bit. I just wanted to hear you. Okay.
What's unique about this interrogator is how he immediately adopts a no-nonsense approach, yet manages to build rapport and remain sympathetic at the same time. You'll see that he has far less patience compared to the previous investigator, yet seems to create a stronger connection with the suspect. It's a hard thing to explain, but easily observed, as you'll soon find out.
So that's what we're going to discuss here today.
Jennifer this time around has read her rights to silence rather than her rights as a witness. If she knew anything about the law in Canada, she would be wise to the fact that she is now a suspect. Fortunately for the investigator, she remains completely naive to the situation throughout the opening phase of the interrogation, making her far more susceptible to the strategy he is about to employ.
Okay, just hold on a second. Okay, we're having technical difficulties here. Okay, so that's why they interrupted me. What we're going to do is, if you don't mind holding tight there, I'm just going to move my equipment to the other room. Okay, and then I'll come over and we'll move over there, next door, okay? Okay, I'm going to be right here though. Okay?
With respect to interrogations, it's common knowledge that the psychological manipulation begins before a single word is spoken. The physical layout of the room is designed to accelerate the sense of discomfort and isolation, and it's fascinating to observe how each interrogator has their own unique methods of setting the tone. Knowing how this interrogation plays out allows us to realize this detective's procedure. The considerable distance between him and the suspect will keep her relaxed enough to be influenced by Phase 1. But this same distance will intensify the pressure once he eventually closes it during Phase 2. You'll notice this detective is slow with his first strategy, but swift with the second. He takes his time in building trust and establishing rapport, yet once this initial connection is secured, the transition to aggression will be abrupt and ever increasing from that point forward. Jennifer takes a seat in the room 15 minutes since she was first informed of her rights. It's important to note that she is still free to leave at any time at this point. She is unknowingly a suspect, but not under arrest.
So just for the record, this room is being videotaped and audio taped, just like the other one, okay? And I'm just gonna grab my chair from across the way, okay? Okay.
The detective goes through Jennifer's history of teaching piano and her earlier years of high-level figure skating, which was cut short due to injury.
If you didn't get injured, would you still be doing it? Yeah. That's good. And did you, as far as that, did you do like competition skating, or? And how did you do with that? But you did actually enjoy it. It was more than just going for competitions, enjoying it. Actually.
I was had fun.
Okay. All right. Do you have any students right now? Or? And why not?
I think I was
Oh, okay. Too big for piano. Yeah, I took it in grade school too, but I think I went to grade 7. Like when I was in grade 7, I stopped doing it. I still remember Swans on the Lake.
The detective then goes through Jennifer's work history as a server before touching on her future plans in education. Jennifer mentions that she plans to go by her parents' wishes and pursue a career in healthcare, at which point the primary strategy is initiated: the how and why solution. The detective gradually begins to shift the blame away from the suspect and onto another set of circumstances that prompted the suspect to commit the crime. He starts developing a theme that will afford her a psychological justification in doing it, and this theme will be further established as the interrogation progresses. It starts off subtle so that she remains oblivious to the agenda.
Now, if you could pick any job yourself, I'm not talking about anybody else, but if you could pick for yourself, what would it be?
Be a piano teacher when I come home. But in days when I like to have a simple, maybe like a lab technician job, work like 8 hours a day.
This is an answer the detective was hoping for. Jennifer's preferred career choice is at odds with what her parents wanted, so he now builds on the concept of the overly controlling parent and the unfair limitations it causes the child. He then links this concept with the subject of Jennifer's boyfriend and how she was kept from seeing him.
Now, eventually you were discussing Daniel. What happened with that relationship?
I hid it from my parents for the day after and
Okay.
once they found out, they didn't like the fact that I was mixed.
Okay. Okay. And how did that make you feel?
He was building a keyboard and thought that a part of me was missing.
When you broke up, you felt the part was missing? Is that what you're saying?
And when they first told me to stop being talking, I felt like a part of me was missing.
How did they find out?
One day when my mother came to pick me up from the truck.
Okay. Dropped you off.
I was right.
Okay. And somehow they saw each other, I guess?
Oh, my mother saw me.
Okay. That gave it away. What happened next?
I tried to bring him home. My mother was not first. Bring him home, and then I brought him home. They automatically didn't like it.
Okay.
And
Okay. So you were told to stop seeing him. So what happened then?
at first I stopped for a while, Like I said, I felt really empty and I felt depression and I started talking to me.
Jennifer then goes on to explain in further detail how she carried on the relationship in secret and how it became
What?
more and more of a struggle hiding it from her parents.
Now, how has Daniel taken it when your parents said that you won't see him anymore? How did he take it?
He was good.
Yeah. I
And
built it.
how
I
did
want
he
you to
feel?
use it. I built it. I want you to use it. So use
She
it.
then goes on to explain
Use it.
that she was living with Daniel at his parents' house for 2 years, while her own parents thought she was studying at a university.
And his parents were, I guess, more liberal than your parents.
His parents think they're like him.
Yeah. Okay. And they recognized that you loved each other.
Jennifer recounts how she bought a fake diploma for $500 to show the parents, and the many other avenues she went down to keep the lie going. She eventually gets to the day she was found out.
How did you end up back home?
I'm sorry. I won't pet you there no more.
I got my friend who was at our business in the middle of the night, and she dogged me for that. What day it was, and so she said, "Didn't meow."
She messed up.
I don't blame her.
Good boy. Good boy.
Jennifer then goes on to explain the ultimatum she was given and the restrictive measures that were put in place so that she wouldn't be able to see her boyfriend.
So how has that felt, being under those guidelines for the last 18 months?
It was okay. Like it wasn't the best feeling in the world because Mom thought I was trapped. But it's what I chose.
And so you made a choice between what?
Living out on my own.
Did you feel you really had a choice or not?
There was no choice because family.
And where do you get that from? Where do you get that belief? The family's number one?
Yes.
The detective then brings up Jennifer's earlier assertion of being depressed and then affiliates it with the restrictive measures she was living under.
What was the worst the depression got? Okay. And when did that happen? Where did you cut?
On my way. Once it was nothing, I cut it other places. Never twice.
So how many cuts do you have on you?
Now, no.
Done? They've healed? And did you want to kill yourself?
Yes.
Jennifer asserts that she tried to kill herself when she was 19 by overdosing on sleeping tablets. She also states that her self-harm was a distractor from the pain and frustrations she was going through.
Did you ever feel that they expected too much of you? How so?
Comparison to other people.
Okay. So who would they compare you to?
Like classmates.
I'm gonna harvest you, boy. Give me that, boy.
That Adam should do the trick. You did the right thing. Just remember, them things aren't people no more. And it's Dr. Tenenbaum that got the thank for us.
How can you do these things to a child? But there are other little ones who have need of your help. Will you be as cruel to them?
Probably not.
If you cross paths with another of them, gatherers, guards, machines, make sure you pick up a new plant one or two. That's if the price ain't too dear, of course.
Oh sweet. Oh shit. Oh shit. I get the fucking. I get the motherfucking. And get my electricity back. That's dope. Eve upgrade, health upgrade. Yes. And health upgrade. Easy, bro. Easy, homie. Alright. Does that one work? Am I supposed to go there? Because I know there's a place over here. Well, also, where can I switch out my stuff? Oh, gene bank. It's gene bank. Okay. Alright. Well. Let's see. First, I want to see something real quick. I want to see. Well. Let's see. First, I want to see something real quick. Oh man, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Okay. Before that starts looping. I've already been there, so. Oh shoot. Those are still mine. Those should still be mine. Idiot. Knock it off, idiot. What are you doing? What are you doing, bro? What are you doing? I've already been everywhere here, pretty sure. Okay, I'm gonna save.
You're ready now. Time to take on one of them big daddies. It won't be easy, but it's the only way to get to little sister and the Adam they carry.
Alright. Alright. Here we go. Big daddy, bitch. Whoa! Whoa! Fuck you! What? Oh my god! I thought that dude fucking. Oh my god! Dude, kill! Okay, dude. Load that. Dude. I can do this. I don't know what. Okay, so that doesn't do shit. This should help a lot. Oh, come on, bro. Yo, where's my fucking thing? What? What the fuck? What the fuck? Dude. What the fuck was that? Bro. What the fuck? Holy shit.
This one's ready to burst, Mr. B.
Dude. I guess I'll have to use this. I'll just have to use that. Let's see. Where is like... What? I can't believe he did that. Are you serious?
I'm ready for dream time, Mr. B.
Fuck you, bro. Fuck you, man.
Hurry, Mr. B. Angel, waiting.
Where the fuck, man? Ugh! Come on, bitch. Dude, why the fuck won't you shoot? Oh! Fuck you, man, you fucking douche. Come on, you idiot. Oh, let's go! Come on, fuck you. Fuck you, man. Oh! What? Fuck. Fuck. Oh my gosh. Wow, dude. Fuck. Oh god. Oh man. Dude, that is so dumb.
Look, Mr. Bubbles.
Fuck you, dude. Oh, fuck you, you fucking. Oh! Wow, bro. Oh my god. I will kill you, man. I will kill you. I will destroy you.
Look, Mr. Bubbles.
Don't worry about it. What? Fuck you, dude. Yes! Did I get this bitch in a fucking thing? Oh my god, I did. Got this dumbass start. It's totally intentional. Oh, if I got him stuck, I guess I could just... Nope, it's almost nighttime, so... Mine. $74. What?
You're not welcome.
I thought I already did that. No, hey, hey, it's nighttime, okay? You're gonna stay in here with me. It's all good. Wow, that was something, dude.
Are you almost back to emergency access? Come through as soon as you get there. You got Ryan's eye now. You won't hear him coming, but he'll be there before you know it.
What's the matter, Mary? You look like you...
Yeah, I mean everything I already searched through, so.
So great. I'm dizzy, I'm nauseous, and sometimes I'm even
Welcome to the circus of...
seeing things that aren't there.
That's just the flash blues, Mary. You just need
Dude, what? That doesn't. How's that make any sense, my guy?
I promised.
Okay. Throw another one, dude. Throw another one. You idiots. Oh my gosh. Dude almost killed me. That okay, that I actually would have been pissed if that happened. What are you doing? Don't hurt yourself. You can't get that. You can't get that.
Security alert deactivated. Thank you for your patience.
I don't know how you managed it, but you did. Come through to Port Neptune now. I'm looking forward to shaking your hand.
Awesome. Great. A fire hand? Because that might hurt. Tune's bounty. Hey, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What the hell? The hell? The hell? Alright.
And so some of them have been successful recently? And what did they say to you?
We should have been that person.
So that's pretty hard, right? Hard to take for you?
But I heard all my life. Nothing.
Did you ever feel like, I know you're smart and they believe you're very smart, but did you ever feel you weren't as smart as what they thought that you were? I get that feeling, that it's pretty tough to live up to their expectations. Okay, like your dad ultimately would like to see you be like a doctor. Those were pretty high standards for anybody. Not everybody can be a doctor. Okay? But they may have acted like you could have done it no problem. Their expectations were so high that few people will be able to reach that expectation. I'm not just talking about you, I'm talking about anybody. And it started at a young age.
The detective further explores the stresses of living with overly strict parents, and Jennifer explains in further details the way she would cope, which for the most part was lying about her grades and living a double life with her boyfriend.
How did it feel having to lie to them all those years?
Don't jump, don't jump. You can jump from there to there, yeah.
I wanted to tell them, but they always look down and disappoint me.
I'm sure there were days when you actually planned that this is the day I'm going to tell them, and then you just couldn't spit it out.
The opening strategy of the how and why solution has now been executed. A connection has been attained, and the desired narrative established. The next phase of the interrogation is about to commence, which is first set up by a two-step strategy. Step 1 is to induce fatigue. Step 2 is to induce fear.
Now, when's the last time you spoke to your dad?
this morning because my brother had made it into school.
And what have you and your father discussed about this case?
He just asked me if Danny was behind it.
Okay.
And I told him 100% that I don't think he did.
Okay. Why would he ask that?
Because he believes that we should talk and that you could anyone to do with me.
Well, what do you think about that?
I know that he's moved on, so I don't think he could leave on to do with me when he's moved on.
The detective has Jennifer go through the entire incident once more, but unlike the first investigator, offers no reassurance nor consolation. Jennifer starts fake crying again, yet this time is given no tissues to wipe away her non-existent tears.
Now, do you think there's any reason why they tied you up and didn't tie your parents up?
I don't know.
Does that seem odd to you? Why does it seem odd?
I was away from a pure separated from most of the time.
And does it make sense that they would leave a witness behind? If they were going to kill somebody? Does that make sense?
Yes,
But just thinking about it. Would it make sense for somebody that is going to kill somebody to leave a witness behind that could describe it? Does that make common sense for killers?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Late night
that was a mistake
Bioshock.
they made then?
Late night Bioshock.
Doesn't take a long time to kill someone.
I know, I don't know.
Jennifer's dramatics intensify as the discussion of the home invasion continues. She's trying to give off the nonverbal cue that she wants to move past the incident. The detective doesn't respond, but continues to go over the different stages of the night in more detail. He jumps from the beginning to the end, to the middle, back to the end, and then back to the beginning again. None of this is for the purpose of information gathering. He is inducing mental fatigue as to diminish Jennifer's critical thinking. This is often done before a direct confrontation, as it can diminish the suspect's ability to consider the long-term consequences of a decision. Jennifer will get stressed and tired, not because she is traumatized by the event being recited, but because it's exhausting keeping up such an act when it's not genuine, and this performance eventually starts to dwindle and becomes gradually less convincing.
How did the conversation end with that?
I heard my mother calling for my father.
And then what?
I have to go through this again.
Okay. When you went to bed, was your mom home yet?
She just gotten home and I went down. I told her I'd be right back. And I went down, I said hi to her, and I went back up to my room.
Were you injured at all during the whole process? Not really anything?
Step 2 of the confrontation setup will now commence. The detective employs what is known as the futility technique. He will tell Jennifer that he has an abundance of resources at his disposal, and even fabricate much of what he asserts. He's indirectly telling the suspect it is useless to resist due to the overwhelming evidence against her.
Now, the reason why I'm here today, okay, is that I'm an expert, okay, in what we call truth verification. I talk to thousands of people, okay, and I basically know when somebody's not being straightforward. Okay? I can tell by the language they use, how they answer the question, their body language, how they treat the question, that something's wrong here. Okay, this doesn't make sense.
The detective then gives Jennifer an 8-minute narrative on police tactics and forensic technology, some of which is embellished, but for the most part true. He then asserts that police are able to use infrared satellite imagery to see the occupants inside a household. This is entirely false.
And basically, if people are moving around in a house, it's like an x-ray, okay? And basically we're able to tell, you know, are those movements, are those actions, that number of people consistent with the story that we've been told. are the people in the positions that the witnesses are telling us they were in, or are they different? Okay? And if they're different, why are they different? That's what our question becomes, right? And so at the end of the day, okay, there's so many resources available to me that at the end of the day, I'm going to know if a person's telling me the truth or not.
The detective is now about to initiate the confrontation, but first brings the entire setup full circle by reestablishing the notions of reasoning and rationale. The suspect is fatigued and scared, but still needs to feel the detective is on her side.
Now, I can tell you that nothing surprises me in this job, okay? I am well aware that anybody on this earth is capable of making a mistake, okay? I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're a priest. I don't care if they're a school teacher. I don't care what the situation is. Given a certain set of circumstances, everyone has the capability, Jennifer, of making mistakes, doing the wrong thing, okay? The key, though, when I talk to people is when they made a mistake, okay, that's one thing, right? The key is to not keep making the same mistake and to get that information out and get it off your chest, okay? You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, from this case, and I can tell you I've spent literally a week on this case, going over information after information, accessing all these sources, speaking to every other expert on the case. And at this point, Jennifer, I know that you've not been truthful with the police, okay? You've not told us everything that you know, purposely. You've spent a considerable amount of time in the last 7 years telling half-truths. And I can understand why, okay? You've had a tough life. What's happened to you, to me, equates to abuse. And all the stresses that you've had and forced to lie, I can understand why you did it, okay? But you're in another situation here where you're under another tremendous amount of stress. And it doesn't feel good inside, does it? It breaks down the person that you are. Because at the end of the day, you're a good person. I know that. You've got a good heart. In this case, though, you've made mistakes, okay? And you're involved in this. I know that, okay? There's no question about it. The only question right now is, are you going to keep making mistakes? Are you going to go on the route that you've gone on over the years and try to pretend that things happen that never happened? Okay, are you going to not face reality here? We know that you're involved. We've done our homework, okay? We have to resolve that now, here today. I need to know from you what really happened. And I know why this has happened. You have spent your whole life trying to live up to expectations that you can't make, okay? And that stress the hell out of you. You're a 24-year-old woman being treated like a 15-year-old, okay? You've never done anything that terrible in your life, but you're being treated like you have. You're not being treated like the adult that you are. Yes,
What?
you made some mistakes.
What?
Big deal.
You okay?
You're not the first person that has gone out and not
Are you
told
hurting?
their parents that they're dating a guy, because in your culture they don't accept it. I understand it. I've talked to people in here that have kept that secret for their whole life from their parents. Okay, so that's not abnormal, but that puts a lot of stress on you, right? That's not easy for you, is it? No. Now, what we need to get down to here today, Jen, is what really happened. You need to tell me what went on, because you know who was in that house that night. You do, Jen. There's no question about that, okay?
While remaining empathetic and understanding, the detective still needs to keep Jennifer's confidence low. He watches for denials and stops them immediately. Letting a suspect deny her guilt will only increase confidence and morale. This needs to be stripped away as much as possible, as early as possible.
There's no question about it, okay?
The focus is kept from the magnitude of the crime and concentrated on the justifications of why someone would commit it.
Yes, their intentions might have been good, but they're not realistic. They're not, Dan, were they? Dan? Their expectations weren't realistic, were they? You couldn't live up to them, could you? You tried to. Right? Am I right? And finally you had to bite back, right? You had no other choice. You felt like you had no other option. You thought of everything else, including killing yourself. This is Canada. We're in the 21st century here. You cannot take everything out of a person. You can have expectations for your kids, but you can't expect them to do everything the way you want. It doesn't feel good to have secrets, does it? No. You have to let me know what happened here, okay? Okay, but you were involved, right? That's the part we need, okay? We need to hear that from you because we know you were.
The detective appears to be getting nowhere, so he now lowers the gauge of admission. A confession to a lesser offense is far easier to attain, but once it is attained, can be used to build on the more damnatory elements of the case. You'll also notice that he uses broad terms that infer guilt, yet don't directly accuse Jennifer of murder.
You knew before that night that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to make that easy.
Yeah.
That's a true statement, right?
Good
You knew
boy.
before that night that they were coming, right? Yeah? It's not worth it anymore. It's hurting you.
She seems to be on the cusp of giving some form of admission, yet wants reassurance as to what it means for her own sake. She asks this question 9 times throughout this interrogation. It's one of the few things investigators can't actually lie about, as it's been used countless times in the past to get a case thrown out under misdirection. They can avoid the question, yet they can't afford any false promises with respect to sentencing.
I need to know the details. I can't even say it. But I can tell you one thing, is that we already know, so you can't change that. No, you did. But it got too far ahead of you, right? You didn't think this far ahead, did you? But once they started, once they came in, you couldn't stop it, could you? Could you? Jen? Hmm? I know. Why didn't they stop for you? Hmm? But you were part of the planning, right? You have to tell me that part, and then we're going to work through it together. You know what I'm saying? You didn't want this, you wanted to stop it. You have to prove that to me now. Because at the end of the day, we have to stop this from happening to someone else. Right? Again, we're going to have to deal with it one step at a time, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. I need to know what you did. And then you and I are going to work through this together. Because the most important part of this whole thing is that we do the right thing for your mom. Right? I am her voice right now. I'm working for your mom. That's my job. And I have to get to the bottom of this for your mom.
Appealing to compassion isn't necessarily uncommon when the crime is first-degree murder, yet it can send a mixed message when a justification for the crime was a focus point early on. The detective takes his chance with it, which at first appears to work. Jennifer initially responds in a poignant manner, but you'll soon come to notice that her empathy, alongside her concern, is solely focused on herself.
So we got to start. Well, I don't know at this point, okay, because I don't know what you're going to tell me other than that you were involved. But I need to hear what this all was a last-ditch effort to live your own life, to be your own person, to make your own decisions. Look at all your friends. Look at all the people around you. Does anyone else have a curfew for 9 o'clock at 24 years of age? You had no choice here. You know that. And anybody else in your situation would have done the exact same thing. The only thing different is I would say that they'd have done it a lot earlier. They would have looked for a way out. When did you first start planning? When was the final straw? What was the final straw? So that's what this is all about. You want to be a good person here?
Jennifer knows exactly what questions to answer and what ones to ignore. Anytime a question is non-incriminating, she gives a response. Yet when they are incriminating, she remains silent. She is no doubt feeling the pressure, but still very aware of the situation and the potential ramifications of her words.
Okay. And you know when a good person makes a mistake, they have to face that mistake, right? Right? What do you think should happen? I don't know. You're going to prove to people that you know what the right thing to do is. That's what's going to happen. That's what your mom wants right now. She's watching us here.
And although she asserts that she...
Okay. So we're supposed to take the whole family out? No, just me. What went wrong?
The detective now has one foot in the door. It's not an outright confession, but Jennifer has now admitted to planning the home invasion all along. And although she asserts that she was the intended target while her parents were meant to be spared, the information she has now given is enough to place her under arrest. Jennifer is no longer going home after this interview. The detective now presses for more information on the amended storyline. It's essentially step one of day one.
I was sure, and I said I was sure.
Okay, so what did you ask them to do then?
Come take me out and then leave.
Okay. Why did they do it when you were, when your parents were there then?
But never alone. Maybe next time.
Okay. So that meeting you had with Rick, to do it?
No.
Did you request any way for him to do it? You understand that? Murder. Also attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. You understand that? Just have to tell me if you understand those charges. Just say yes or no. Yes. Okay. So what we're going to do right now is, do you have your own lawyer?
No.
No? Okay. Do you have a lawyer you would like to speak to that you know of?
No.
Okay. Would you like to speak to duty counsel?
I just want to talk to someone who can help me understand.
Okay, so who would that be?
I don't know.
So do you have a lawyer?
You said that you were on my side. And I
Okay, I am on your side, Jim. What would you like to do?
I don't have any idea.
You want me to call duty counsel for you? Okay. Or is there any other lawyer that you would like? Okay. So at this point, you wish to speak to duty counsel then? Okay. So what I'm going to have to get you to do is actually empty all your pockets on the table here. I'm going to make sure that they're making a call to duty counsel, and we'll line that up, and you can speak to the duty counsel in private, okay? Okay. I do have to go and speak to these officers, but I'll come back and speak to them, okay? But we got to take care of these lawyers, okay? That's the priority right now. Okay.
The next time Jennifer would see this detective would be when he testified at her trial. It began on the 14th of March 2014, and Jennifer pled not guilty to all charges. Her interrogation tape was one of the more damning pieces of evidence put forward by the prosecution. Yet the most damning were the 116 text messages between her and her boyfriend in the 6 hours leading up to the murder. They thought using burner phones to communicate would cover their tracks, yet forensics were able to uncover the entire discussion just 1 month after the incident. They spoke in detail about how the crime would be carried out, and it was enough to convict them both, as well as each of the intruders who were linked to the crime via DNA evidence and witness testimony. They were all found guilty of first-degree murder and given a life sentence without the possibility of parole for 25 years. Jennifer Pan is now 34 years of age. She is currently serving her sentence at the Grand Valley Institution for Women in Kitchener, Ontario. She will be first eligible for parole in November of 2035.
What about your dad?
He drives a Mercedes and he loves that baby.
Is that right?
And he loved that baby. He loved that baby.
What about your dad? Is that right?
And he loved that baby. He loved that baby. Okay. Alright. Well then.
Now you had the pleasure of Andrew Ryan's company. He's the one who built this place, and he's the one who ran it into the ground. Nobody knows exactly what happened. Maybe he went mad. Maybe the power got to him.
Dude, nobody ever knows what happened, dude.
Decided he didn't like people. Whichever way you slice it, good men died. My family's in a submarine hidden in the
Got a
foundation
gene
of volcanic
bank,
fisheries.
which means I can get my motherfucking thing. Alright. I think I'm gonna do electric and fire, cause it's dope. Yeah, but how do I get more? Sure. $9. $9 on this dude. I'll just get one. I just want one. Alright. Watch out, watch out, watch out. Okay. Okay. Alright.
Crawls in my garden.
That's the female hoe. The female hoe. Wow. Alright, I think I should stop now. should probably go to sleep though. Let's see. um. Hello there. Nobody's watching? Okay. It was just me. Okay. I thought I psyched myself out. Or I did psych myself out.